Hi teachers. Through this video I'm going to talk with you a little bit about how to get your growth plan set up and turned in for this school year. We are going to use iObservation as well as the Schoology Meadowvale resource page. So if you have those two things ready to go, you'll be able to follow along and get your growth plan ready to go. So beginning in iObservation, just to review, we're going to be under growth. And if you go to plans, what you should find there is you should see, instead of attention needed, yours will probably say in progress. And if you click on your plan, you'll see that you have taken the self-assessment. There should be done with a green check. And now we're ready to select target elements. If you're in the peer review cycle, you need to select 2 elements. If you're in summative or probationary, you would need to select 4. I'm going to toggle back to the Schoology page. Under materials, if you scroll down, you'll find an orange folder that says teacher evaluation. Clicking on that folder, there's a few documents there that will help you. Specifically, there's information in the peer review folder, but today I want you to look at the TDE guides and look at the guide that most fits your area. If you're a school counselor, you're going to choose this link. Media specialist in special education, I'm going to show the instructional staff guide because that is where most of you will go. The information up here lets you know that you need to choose 2 goals if you're in peer review cycle, and if you're in probationary or summative, you need to choose 4. All of us are going to continue to choose the communicating learning goals and feedback. So number 1, providing clear learning goals and scales. So everybody will choose number 1. And then those of you that are in the peer review cycle are going to choose 1 more element from the T of the iObservation materials, and those are listed here. A couple suggestions I have: if you are working, continuing to do work on building your small groups for small group instruction, last year I encouraged people to choose element number 19, helping students practice skills, strategies, and processes. That really works on building those small groups. Another couple options that I see that would include work that we're doing this year at Meadowvale are under domain 3, numbers 2 and 3. Both of these seem to relate towards the PLC work, evaluating the effectiveness of individual lessons and units, or evaluating the effectiveness of specific pedagogical strategies and behaviors. Easy for me to say. So if you would want to choose one of those, that certainly fits within the realm of our PLC work, where during your time you've set up a common assessment. You're looking then to see, as you work as a team, which lessons, which unit in the unit, or which strategies are best and most effective. So those could be a couple elements that would definitely work within what we're doing here at Meadowvale. You can certainly choose any other element though, if you have something else that you are working on. So I'm going to toggle back to the iObservation, and now I'm going to go under step 2, select target elements. And once I get to this page, it immediately comes up to the required element, which is the learning goals and scales. So I'm going to choose configure. It's going to show me where I rated myself, and then I'm going to choose where it is I want to be by the end of the year. I'm definitely going to want to be at applying, because I know that when I'm at that applying level, that's that tipping point for which students will, we will start to see that increase in student achievement. So then I'm going to click Save, and I'm going to come back to the target element page. I need to choose 1 more if I'm in peer review, and so I'm going to choose to really look at my effectiveness of certain strategies and behaviors. So I'm going to configure there, and I'm also going to choose applying, and I'm going to save. As I'm doing this work, one of the other things that I can do is I can preview the element. So if I want to see what the focus statement says, so under learning goals and scales, the focus statement is here, and some ideas for what we might see in sample elements, sample evidence. So that can really help me to determine whether or not that's a strategy that I want to work towards. So once I've done that, and you can preview any of those before you actually configure them as well. So once I've made those choices, I'm either going to choose back to plan at the bottom or back to plan at the top, and you will now see that that is finished. You have to have chosen 2 elements before it will allow you to go on. Now I'm going to develop a plan for growth. Here's where I put my action steps. So in this space, I'm going to actually go ahead and I'm going to type in, here's my element learning goals and scales. I have my goal, and then I'm going to start listing what my action steps are. So you can choose to list your action steps in this way, putting all of your action steps for one element in one box, or you could choose to list each of these action steps in their own action step box, and some people choose to do that. Most people are choosing to do one box per element. Then here I'm going to list the date. You again can decide I'm going to be done with this by January of 2019. You can put very specific dates. A lot of people are choosing to say, hey, I'm going to work on this all year, so I put in the dates from October to May. I need to select which element this is working towards. In this case, it's learning goals and scales. And there's 2 other sets of boxes, both of ones I don't worry a whole lot about. You could certainly make a choice here if you wanted to, if those 3 ideas fit with the work that you're doing. Otherwise, I typically leave that blank because quite often the action steps I've chosen are not one of those 3. And then there's choices for adding resources here. These are not necessarily, again, you don't need to move any of these and select any of them. I typically leave this blank as well because they aren't resources that I would be using in my action step. So go ahead and click Save Action Step, and then I would need to add another one for my second element. Again, you can add as many action steps as you feel are necessary, but you need to have at least a couple action steps for every element, and this probably isn't quite enough because these 2 action steps alone are not going to get me to the applying level with learning goals and scales. When I'm done, I can again, once I've added all my action steps, I can click on back to plan. I will now see another done check mark here. Once I have all of these 3 areas done, then I'm ready to submit. Remember, with iObservation, you can go back and work on this multiple times. The information will be saved. I can keep going back and forth until I'm ready to submit. You must click the Submit for Approval button in order to be complete. So the growth plans are all due on October 1st, and in order to consider your growth plan done, you need to have the self-assessment, the target elements, all of your action steps in place, and you must click Submit for Approval. Please know once you click that, you'll get this awaiting approval, and you will no longer be able to make changes. You can see it starts to look very different than it did when you were in the process of creating your plan. If you accidentally choose Submit for Approval and you really wanted to add some more things to it yet, to your growth plan, please just send me an email and I will send it back to you as well. Then I will go ahead between October 1st and October 15th and look at those plans. If I have questions or things aren't complete, I will certainly send it back to you for more revision. If things are good to go, I'll let you know that as well, and we can get started on the work that you're going to do this year. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to come and ask or send me an email. Thanks so much. Good luck.